We are taught that history is a straight line. But in the year 657 AD, just 25 years after the death of the Prophet Muhammad, the Islamic world hit a fork in the road. Today, we talk about radicalism as a modern phenomenon. But the blueprint for ideological warfare wasn't written in the 21st century. It was written in the desert heat of Iraq by a group of men who thought the rest of the world, including their own leaders, had lost their way. This is the story of the Kharijites. The seceders, the first group to turn a political dispute into a holy war. And their story explains more about our modern world than you might think. The year is 656. The third caliph has been assassinated. The empire is fractured. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet, takes the mantle of leadership. But not everyone agrees. At the Battle of Siffin, Ali's forces were on the verge of victory against the rebel governor Muawiyah. But then, something strange happened. Muawiyah's soldiers raised pages of the Quran on their spears. They called for arbitration. They wanted to negotiate. Ali, seeking to avoid more Muslim bloodshed, agreed to talk. But for a specific group of his fiercest warriors, this was the ultimate betrayal. They shouted, "No judgment but God's!" They believed that by negotiating with a sinner, Ali had forfeited his right to lead. They didn't just leave his army, they seceded. They became the Khawarij, those who went out. The doctrine of us versus them. This wasn't just a political walkout. It was the birth of a terrifying new theology. The Kharijites developed a concept called Takfir. The definition, declaring another Muslim an apostate or an unbeliever. In their eyes, if you committed a major sin, you were no longer a Muslim. And if you weren't a true Muslim, your life was no longer protected. They became the ultimate purists. They prayed longer than anyone else, they fasted more strictly, but they were also the first to justify the killing of civilians who didn't share their exact, rigid interpretation of the faith. The Assassination. By 661 AD, the Kharijites decided the world needed to be purified. They sent out 3 assassins to kill the major leaders of the era simultaneously. 2 failed, but one, a man named Abd al-Rahman ibn Muljam, succeeded. As Ali prostrated in prayer, Ibn Muljam struck him with a poison-coated sword. Ali died 2 days later. The Kharijites hadn't just killed a leader, they had shattered the unity of the Islamic world forever. The legacy. For centuries, the Kharijites were hunted by every major Islamic dynasty. They were viewed as a cancer by the mainstream. But their idea, the idea that you can decide who is holy enough to live, never truly died. When we look at modern extremism today, we aren't seeing something new. We are seeing the echoes of the men who stood at Siffin 1,400 years ago and decided that compromise was a sin. The closing. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. The story of the Khawarij reminds us that the most dangerous weapon isn't a sword or a bomb, it's the certainty that you alone speak for God. If you found this deep dive into history valuable, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be covering the Order of Assassins in our next video. What do you think? Was the rise of the Khawarij inevitable once the empire grew too large? Let's discuss it in the comments.